Okay, so for this part, we're going to do y-intercept, or sometimes we call this slope y-intercept. And what happens is a slope y-intercept or y-intercept equation is of the form y equals mx plus b. And that m is your slope. So m is the slope. And then b is your y-intercept. And sometimes we call the slope the rate of change, and sometimes you'll hear the y-intercept is where do you start, or what is that initial amount. That word initial amount is usually used in science. So given this, and I'm going to go ahead and make this into a color so you can actually see it. And I think if you look at the PDF version online in your packet, they're actually colored. So this is your slope, this is your line. So we have to find that y-intercept. So that y-intercept, where does it hit on the graph? Well, it hits right there at 2. So that's your y-intercept. And then we're going to go through and we're going to find the slope just like we did in the past. And then this line, as x increases, y decreases. So we know it's going to be a negative slope. So I know I'm going down because this line is going down. And then I just kind of figure out how much do I go down, because I'm going to go from here to here. So I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to go down 6, and I'm moving to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And if I simplify this or not, it doesn't matter in this case, but this would be negative 6 over 10, which is negative 5 or negative 3 over 5. That would be your slope. Or I don't care in this case because you're writing an equation, you can write this to be negative 0.6. Any one of these three is fine. So now when you're going to go through and you're going to write your equation, it's going to be y is equal to, and then x, and then whatever your y-intercept is, okay? So when I like to think of this is that your slope is always married to x. It's always next to x. The slope and x are in a relationship. And this would be negative 0.6. And I'm going to tell you now, that's what most of you like, is decimals. And I'm just asking you to write the equation. And or you can write it as, and then the next one is your y-intercept is 2, and it's a positive 2, so that's a plus 2. So that's your equation. You can also write your equation, and I would accept it, as y is equal to negative 6/10 x plus 2, or you can write your equation as y is equal to 2 minus 6/10 x, or y is equal to 2 minus 0.6 x. Any one of those, or you can change your fraction to be negative 3/5. That's up to you, but that's how you're going to go through and do this. So now we're going to look at this again, and you're going to have your equation. And again, I'm going to draw my line just in a different color, just so we can kind of see it. And then where does it hit on the x, on your on your y-axis? Your y-intercept is at negative 4. And then we're going to find our slope. And our slope to go from this point to this point, because I gave you points on your graph, you're going to go up. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I'm going up 12, and then moving to the right. So we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 12 over 10, and that reduces to 6 over 5, or you can put this as 1.2. Any one of those three, I'm fine. So we're going to write our equation. Y is equal to, and then your slope, 1.2. And then you have x, and then my y-intercept is negative 4. So I'm going to subtract 4. So again, your slope was 1.2. You can have 6/5, or you can have 12/10. I don't care. And then you have minus 4. So your 3 different slopes, or your forms that you can all do is going to be, you can have y is equal to 6/5 x minus 4. Y is equal to 12/10 x minus 4. Or you can put it where you put the y-intercept in front. So y is equal to -4 plus 1.2x. Y is equal to -4 plus 6/5 x. Or y is equal to -4 plus 12/10 x. So that's what you have to do is you're going to find your slope given a graph. You're going to find your y-intercept given a graph. And then the next one is now we have little funky numbers. So we're going to have this number. I'm going to make this so you can actually see your line here. So when you're looking at that line, when you're looking at that blank little line there, that's your line. So this is a trick question. And you're looking at this. Does this green line hit this y-axis? Does that green line hit that y-axis? And the answer to that question is no. So this, we're going to say this, there is none. There's no y-intercept. And if we're lazy, we're just going to put NA for not applicable. Not applicable. So that does not hit. There is no y-intercept. So when you have a vertical line, there is no y-intercept. And then we just figured out, oh yeah, but when your slopes are vertical, so when your slopes go straight up and down, so my rise over run for my slope, so when I look, my rise over run, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'm going to go up 9, and I'm going to move to the right 0. That's an undefined slope. Okay, so this one is a trick question, and it will be on your test. And this is the one that gets you guys all the time, no matter who you are. So this is undefined, and so now you have to write that equation. Well, notice that this never hits the the y-axis, but all of these numbers are the same at x. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then all of these numbers are the same at x. So x is always 6. So all of these points, because if I look at this point, this is 6, -7. If I look at this point, it is 6, 2. So when you have a slope and it's undefined and it's a straight up and down vertical line and they have the same x, then you write your equation as x equals 6. It's a trick question. So I'd star that because that's like a common mistake that most of us look at. So the next particular part is now you're going to state your y-intercept. Again, I'm going to highlight this line just because you can't see it as well. And I'm going to highlight my 2 little points I give you. So your y-intercept, where does this hit on your y-axis? So this hits right there on my y-axis. Notice it's my y-axis. So that's at -3. And then my slope in this case is I'm going to go up. I'm going to go up none. So my rise is 0, and I'm moving to the right. So I'm going to go from this point. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So to the right 6, and I'm going to go 0 divided by 6 is a 0 slope. So my slope is 0. So when you're going to write that equation, so when we're going to go through and we're going to write that equation, you're going to have y equals, and then you're going to have 0x, 0 because that's your slope, and slope is married to x. And then and this time with your y-intercept, it's -3. And then we're just going to simplify that. So when you simplify this, because 0 times x is really nothing, we don't need it. So y is equal to -3. So right now what you're looking at is I want you to look at how do you find your y-intercept given a graph, and what do you notice about that particular part? And oops, I didn't write that so you could see. So when you're looking at this, you're figuring out what do you notice given a graph, and you're going to write that equation. Remember? So this was 0x, and then you're subtracting your slope, you're subtracting your y-intercept, and then that simplifies because 0 times x is nothing, and that just becomes -3. So think about this. What are some things that you really notice?